I suppose that's one way to let everyone know that we're live. You hear the rustle of the microphones, and that's the sign. That's not encouragement, guys. That is not.
Oh, sorry.
Oh
Wait,
my! What are we doing?
Sorry.
That's not how that's supposed to work.
Oh goodness.
My bad. My bad.
Well, that was a good show. Everyone, welcome.
Bye, everyone.
Didn't get to the welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Newbcast podcast for the 10th of September. My name is MissMicheleJean, and we are hosting the gaming news and talk podcast that we occasionally have, I guess.
How is it September already?
I no idea.
Yeah. This is that period of time where like there's a song for every month, and then it's all of a sudden Christmas, and I'm not ready for it. Like, this is gonna start roller coastering real quick, and no.
Yeah, don't even say that, because you know all of a sudden there's gonna be snow on the ground. Everyone's gonna be singing carols and just like
snow.
No, I don't want that.
Well, snow. Well, I live in California. There's no such thing as snow here.
Yeah,
there's no such thing as rain.
You know, it's interesting though. During our heat snap up here in the Twin Cities, there was a lot of days where we were a lot warmer than SoCal, and we were trying to figure out, well, how the hell that happened.
It's currently 87 degrees.
Okay, so it's warm there.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's like stupidly humid. We had lightning last night, which was weird.
I saw, you know, it's funny. I saw some videos out of Sacramento that had some pretty intense lightning to it too. Like it was insane. It was fun to watch.
Some crazy monsoon weather. Finally,
there you go, you guys. You need it. Anyways, welcome to the Newbcast podcast, where we talk about gaming headlines and have other discussion. The way the podcast works is we go around, we talk, introduce ourselves, we talk about the games we've been playing, we move on to gaming news, and then we sell ourselves out at the end of the show. That's how this works. With that, you had a thought. Go ahead.
I don't know.
I know that looks.
There are no thoughts behind these eyes.
That is completely and patently untrue.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, you know what? Because...
I'm not gonna loot up your channel, okay? That's for me. I save that for my community, my wholesome degens. I keep them. I keep them over there.
Hold on, really? Loot up my hold on. See, this thing's popping up on my screen and everything, because you know what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm gonna do.
What are you gonna do?
Well, I gotta find it while I'm distracting. I think what I need to do is, because you had that look on your face and you're like, no, I have nothing to say at all, that I should introduce you first.
Oh,
yes,
hi.
Is what I should do. Is what I should do. But you know, I do just to clarify. Is the thing I have. So, especially with all the, you know what? I'll talk about it when I get to my. But
I am very first.
You've been playing. Now
I'm the host. I always go last. That's how this works.
Oh, leaving
because then you guys might forget
for a little bit.
Oh, okay. Let me just write down. Do not forget.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, Hippo, welcome to the show. Good to see you.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. What have you been up to?
So much.
That looks sad at all.
Yeah, I habitually play games. You guys, if you don't know, I play simulation and indie games, and primarily I played a couple 100 hours of flight sim on stream since the last podcast.
Good Lord.
I may or may not go really hardcore on the simulation games, especially if they're very in depth, and they have planes. Apparently I like planes. I didn't know.
Really?
I since the last time that we had a podcast, I became a Dovetail Games ambassador.
Okay.
And I played train sim, and I'm not a train person, but I played it.
You know, I've had that in my library for a very long time, but I have had such a struggle with it. What's it? I feel like all I do is I try to get the thing started. I finally get it started, and then I manage to get the thing to fall off the rails. Like that simulation is exactly where I learned to take things off the rails, because that's all that happens whenever I play it.
So I was specifically playing Train Sim World 2, which is Dovetail Games' version of a train simulator. And like I said, I don't really know trains very well, so I was having like kind of an off day. I was just feeling like bleh. And so I was like, let's just play some Train Sim and hang out and talk. And it turned into me realizing at like not full speed, but like I would say about 45 miles an hour, that one of the doors was open. And of course I'm the driver, so I'm important. Yes, I'm important for the train, but also it's important for me to make sure that everything is secure. Not that any of the simulation people are going to jump out of the train, but I did, slightly on accident. But also I was testing if I could do it. You can. Spoiler, you can jump out of a moving train as a conductor.
I think I was actually lurking in your channel at that point, because I saw that happen. I'm like, what the hell is... No, you can't do that. You did. I'm like, Christ, are you kidding me? Okay.
Yeah, I walked out. I was like, why is this door even open? That's very strange. And then I looked down and I saw the rushing ground going past, and I was like, can I just jump out? Is that like a thing I can do? Look, I have to test video games, especially simulation games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so of course I jump out, and of course you're allowed to jump out of the moving train as the conductor. So now I'm standing, I don't tumble, there's no physics, I just stop. And I look up and I see the train just continue without me. And I'm like, oh no, what do I do? So I start panicking. And I'm like trying to grab onto the train, but you know, it's not meant for me to grab onto a moving train. So I'm like trying to stop it, and somehow I managed to get the locomotive at the very back to like disconnect from the main train. And I was like, okay, I'll just get in this and I'll go chase it down. So, but at the time, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I don't remember how to do this stuff. I am not a train person. I have maybe a couple of hours in this game. What do I gotta do to start the engine and go? And as I'm going and I get the engine up and running, and we're chasing down the other train, the game's like, you didn't stop at a red light. The end. Yeah, so that happened. I posted that clip to TikTok and it went viral. Apparently I now have like over like close to 1,000 followers because of it. It has like 300,000 views and like 33,000 likes on it. Like crazy amount of people seen this thing, and I'm like, I can't even comprehend that amount of people looking at something that I've created all at once, you know?
Yeah, the viability of anything on TikTok is pretty incredible. And yeah, having watched that while it happened, like knowing that you did that makes a lot of sense.
I gotta say, you know, people say Train Sim is boring, but I think that they're just not playing it right. I got a lot of people in the comments saying, oh, well, if you just hit Control-0, you would just go back into the cab. And I'm like, but that wouldn't have been fun. That wouldn't have been silly. The whole thing would have just been like, okay, here's a dude playing a game, boring, you know? So I guess I play simulation games wrong, but right.
Wouldn't know what that's like at all.
It was very fun. We chilled out some Fishing Sim World as well, which is a Dovetail game, which is actually pretty cool. We were catching carp, and apparently there's things called pegging stations. Cue the Thank you. Yeah, so apparently there's pegging stations. I had no idea. But that's a thing.
Didn't realize that was a thing.
Fishing. Yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say, first off, why are you fishing for carp?
Because they're big, fat dinosaur fish.
See, I guess the reason I asked, at least here, like if you catch a carp, you can't throw it back. They're not a game fish.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to keep them.
Well, I was just trying to make money. I mean,
guess.
they're giant. They're like
Yeah.
giant sunfish. So yeah, I caught them.
They're not like giant sunfish.
They were like at least like, oh god, 90 pounds or something like that.
90.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're huge.
Hold on.
You can get them really big old. Like I tweeted it.
Are you sure you didn't
I got a fish this big.
You might have caught a Gyarados. That's not a.
Yeah, it sounds like. Okay, they can get that big. Okay.
Look, what I was doing was I was double dipping. Okay, I was streaming to make money and hang out with the community, and then on the other hand, in case Pims and I ever break up, I have one of those trout pictures where you're like holding a fish, only it's a giant fish, and I caught a fish this big. Ladies.
Oh.
No.
Almost
I'm
the
just
third time.
saying.
Almost the third time. Oh my god. Okay.
But yeah, I've been playing a lot of that. I jumped back into Project Zomboid. Oh my god, what a great game.
I saw that.
Oh man. Project Zomboid beta patch number 41, which is unfortunately not multiplayer at the moment. We decided to start playing different characters. Like we played Bob the Builder. Can he fix it? No, he cannot. He died.
So you're role playing.
Yes, Bob Ross died in his sleep to a zombie horde. Where is Waldo? You guys, we found out last night. We found out some crazy stuff, okay? Where is Waldo? You know, Waldo, his name is Wally Waldo. That's what we called him. He's a magician wizard. He's like a time traveler. There's actual lore behind him.
Okay.
He's a time traveling wizard who I guess he has like a staff and like another character. I don't know like the whole lore, but he's a wizard, a time traveling wizard, and we're like, oh my god. And we also found out that him and Carmen Sandiego are actually serial murderers, and that's why everyone's trying to find them all the time. Like specifically, Carmen Sandiego, she started out as petty thief, like art thieving and stuff, and eventually she started kidnapping people from the past. She went back in time. So we think there's no evidence here, but we think that Where's Waldo and Carmen Sandiego are teamed up together in a villain duo, which the likes of which no one has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why there are books for trying to find where is Waldo and Carmen Sandiego, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, because we don't know where they are. So what we decided to do, or we as in like the police, the authorities, Interpol as well, they made books. They made books for the children, for the next generation, so that they know exactly when they see Waldo and when they see Carmen Sandiego, they know exactly who they are. And so they can call Interpol or the authorities and get them arrested.
At the very least, everyone's going to have to say, there's Waldo. And then in a crowd, everyone starts staring down and trying to find Waldo. And that makes it a lot easier. I don't know if I'd support the cops, but I would immediately say, that's Waldo.
So, well, they're serial murderers. That's why they're so good at what they do. Not only are they wizards, but they also, the reason why people are trying to catch them is because they kill people and they get away with it because they're wizards or time traveling spy people, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Carmen does have that red cap. She could be a red mage. I could see that.
Yes.
Carmen has a red fedora and a red duster, and Waldo has a red toque or beanie or whatever you want to call it, and also a red and white. They're both red and white stripes. So we're thinking that like they're somehow the red and their ability to time travel and their murderings are somehow connected. Anyway, DizzahGee, how are you? What are you been up to?
Welcome to the show. Yeah.
Hi.
That's quite a thing to follow up on. That's
we had a lot of fun. Let me just say we had a lot of fun.
It sounds creative. Yeah, that's we can describe it that way, right? It was mm-hmm. That's what we're doing.
Well, I did definitely want to say, as a complete non sequitur, I absolutely love our background today, and I am so psyched that there is another Matrix movie coming out.
Yes.
So I didn't actually get to see very much of it. I saw like pictures and like people talking about it, but then I had to stream, and then I completely forgot because I streamed for 10 hours, and then I just was like, I want to go eat food and go to sleep.
I'll after the show, I'll just go get it on YouTube and I'll stream it in the call here so you can see it.
Okay.
But it's worth it. It's ooh.
There's some
I'm
very
excited.
nice things to look
saw
forward
it.
to for sure.
I saw a picture of Neo, and I'm pretty sure that Neo turns into John Wick, and I'm pretty sure John Wick is Neo. So
there might be a parallel.
I think John Wick is actually in the Matrix. Anyway, continue.
That makes sense.
No, it's a solid hypothesis.
But yeah, I'm super excited for it, and of course, it immediately made me think of all of the different Matrix games that have been out and released. I never got the chance to play Matrix Online, and I wonder if there will ever be some sort of resurrection of that. Bad pun. As a result of this new generation of people coming in. And there are going to be people who have never watched a Matrix movie, who are going to check out the original trilogy because this happened. Is this the next Star Wars? I don't know. Hopefully not, because those prequels were absolutely awful. The first three movies were fantastic.
So
number 4 was bad.
What helps is the fact that it's still Lena Wachowski that directed this, right? So the thing that people forget is, even though George Lucas created the original Star Wars, he only directed the first one. He didn't direct Empire or Jedi, which are considered the best.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he didn't direct them.
But yeah, solid concepts. Apparently, Lawrence Fishburne will not be reprising the role of Morpheus. Minor spoilers.
Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned that. It's funny you should mention that, and especially since he brought up Matrix Online, because in interviews, Lawrence Fishburne talked about why, and he just flat out said, I wasn't invited back. Well, in the Matrix Online, there was the treaty between the machines and the humans, right? The humans were trying to get the remains of Neo returned to them, and they wouldn't return the body. And Morpheus started setting off data bombs inside the Matrix because the machines wouldn't comply. And at one point, he's killed. They killed him in the Matrix, in the Matrix Online. So there is a hypothesis that the Matrix Online is canon. And the reason that Lawrence Fishburne isn't there is because Morpheus is dead. That's just a hypothesis, but that is currently the running theory.
I love this concept, and it would be so cool to have an online game be canon in something that wasn't originally from that game. Like the World of Warcraft movie, sure, whatever. Everything that's in there, fine. But
don't get me started on that. Oh, don't not. I have opinions, but go ahead.
Didn't they do that with Defiance?
Yes, they did. Yep.
Oh, that's true.
Yep.
And it failed absolutely miserably.
I mean, the game wasn't horrible, but the show was.
The show went somewhere, and the game was.
That's a way to put it.
The game was in a different place. I actually really enjoyed the game. I liked the show at the beginning. I don't know what happened later though.
I couldn't tell you. Yeah, I enjoyed the game too. I thought the game was pretty good. I remember testing it in beta, and then when it came out, Crafty and I both played a fair amount of it, but no, it didn't go anywhere.
Once you get a car, oh yeah.
I think there's something very different in like a game like there. correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually played alongside the story that was being developed in the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel that's such a difficult, complex narrative to weave around that it just doesn't connect well. I think that this can make more sense, especially because The Matrix Online clearly isn't going to be, associated with any movie or anything past this movie.
Yeah, and it's hard to say. It might have something to do with how well this one performs. As long as it doesn't go down the same rabbit hole that you caught that good. As long as it doesn't go down that rabbit hole that Reloaded and Revelations had, then there's potential.
Yeah. And I mean, anytime I've seen a Wachowski development in a movie, plot has been convoluted the further along it goes.
Oh, Sense8?
Have you ever played a Kojima game?
Touche.
Also true.
Very
Just
true.
saying.
Yep.
Just saying.
But at least it can make sense after like the second or third time versus Kojima.
Does it? Does it? What?
Cloud Atlas made sense. Okay. This is such a weird like non-video game rabbit hole.
Just saying. Have you played Death Stranding?
Yeah, I could not play that 4 or 5 times through and quite make sense of what's going on.
I'm just saying.
I would trust the Wachowskis to put together a story that works well.
So it's just Lena this time. Based on what I saw in the trailer, they said it was directed by Lena Wachowski. It didn't say the Wachowski sisters.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that's curious too, but we'll have to see.
Isn't it?
All I want is a game. Just give me a game after.
As long as it's not like the game that was on PS2 or online, and like there's some solid gameplay mechanics behind it. Yeah, I'm down. Like, could you be in a ship like the Nebuchadnezzar and plug into the Matrix? It doesn't have to be the Nebuchadnezzar, right? It could be any of the hovercrafts that they have, but be able to send a pirate signal into the Matrix and be able to. Oh god, that would be cool. I think that's part of what it is, though, right? It's that ability that even though you see some stuff that's going on in the real world, being able to go into the Matrix, because that's what really draws people to the whole thing, is the superhuman aspect of what you can do in the Matrix with Neo, and even what Trinity and Morpheus could do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is like outside of the Matrix would be like Death Stranding, and then inside the Matrix would be like Saints Row the Third. Is it Saints Row the Third or Saints Row the Fourth? The one that they have like all the superpowers and stuff.
Yep, that's the fourth. Yeah.
That
I mean, you're onto something though.
I would definitely go with that, but it's so far in the future. As of late, I have actually been able to go to a convention. It's weird that conventions are a thing that can happen.
Nice. Which one did you go to?
I went out to Fan Expo out in Boston. And it's kind of surreal being in that environment again. Like we're not quite post-pandemic, and you can very clearly see that like there's some discomfort with it, but at the same time, if you're going to have a convention, like New England in general is doing pretty okay. Like I'm okay with this concept, and I think people were all in all fairly respectful. Which, I mean, con-goers in general tend to be pretty good in my experience.
Yeah, I hear that. And 2D Con, I think, did pretty well this, like, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I think, is when 2D Con was here in Minneapolis. So, yeah, there's a few places where the conventions are.
There's one convention that I'm still kind of debating on whether I should just do the online experience or go. It's in San Diego. It's called Flight Sim Expo. And it's all about flight sim.
Of course it is.
But the thing is, like, it's like they're doing very, they're like, okay, so we still have a pandemic happening, so let's do it really smart. And I'm like, should I just? It's like $70 for like 2 days. So should I just go there? I mean, I'm in Irvine, and it's in San Diego. It's not that far. Like, that's like a day trip,
What's I don't even know what the numbers look like down in your area, though. Like,
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, like I don't know, Crafty and I opted to not attend the one that was up here. So, I mean, the fact that you went to Fan Expo and you seem to be fine 2 weeks afterwards is a good sign, Dizzah. So
as long as people do it smart, I mean, you can still do it. You can still have conventions.
Yeah, and goodness knows, like my nature is to be paranoid about that sort of stuff. So like the moment that there's like a sneeze, like an allergy sneeze, and I'm like, was that a sneeze or a cough? I don't know. I have to double check. Where's
when you're in public and you have to sneeze and you're like,
right?
Oh my gosh, it's the absolute worst. And then if you do, you stifle the sneeze, and then you sneeze all over, and it's inside your mask, and you don't have another mask.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's what the mask is for, but still, you're like, oh god, achoo, like, oh, now it's just on my face. Oh god, oh, I'd rather have sneezed in my sock or something.
Yeah.
So always bring a second mask is the rule, unless you really like having slime all over your face, in which case, go for it.
Okay, I'm done.
I'm not gonna lie, like the ones that we got from St. Jude, right? Like these fit so well. I don't know if Hippo's seen it, but Dizzah, the big pocket that I usually have on my side, right? Yeah, they fit so well in the big pocket that I usually have.
Whoa, do you have a fanny pack? Is that what you're talking about?
No. Here,
okay.
Hold on.
I was gonna say, like, how old are you?
they're it's made by a seamstress here, but it's basically a big pocket, right?
Okay.
And then there's different designs. So like my friend that Yanir Dice made this design for D&D, and we've got it put on my pouch, and then it just clips on the belt clips.
Okay, all right. Well, okay. It's more like a clip-on purse than it is
kind
like
of
a fanny pack.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's exactly what it is, right? And like you can put a purse strap on it if that's how you want to carry it. But sometimes, because especially with my shoulder's been so fucked up the last few months, where it's just like, you know what, I'll just keep it on my belt clips or my belt loops, and it's right there all the time. And it's a real pocket. I can actually put stuff in it. It's so nice. So I guess that's my plug for Yanir, I guess, and her work. I don't know.
It seems especially convenient, especially if you are playing D&D and you need to have all of those dice next to you, which, I mean, like, if you don't have 40 dice ready to go at a moment to roll, I mean, what are you doing?
Well,
really?
Well, so the pockets really came from being convention staff, because remember, I've been staff for conventions for 7 years. So having to carry all the extra stuff around that we had to, we just buy the pouches for that.
Yeah.
I'm feeling very called out right now.
Well,
I feel like, look, I'm the only one that I don't have D&D dice. I don't really play D&D. You're like, what are you doing if you don't have dice? And I'm like,
the designs are usually done by the designs are usually done by the seamstress I was talking about. It's just this particular design. We had a friend that is a dice maker that made this design and put it on my pouch. It's a custom commission. So it's not like I have.
I'm just saying Dizzah was calling me out because I don't have dice ready.
I usually have them right there.
Hands reach. Yeah.
You got to get weird shaped dice. You have to get them out of different materials. If you don't have at least one set made out of wood, one made out of metal, and others that are just oddly shaped.
Dice, like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You don't have blood diamond dice. What are you even doing with your life?
Yeah. I mean, that's accurate. That's fair.
You have to make dice. And you have to have the set that's been made out of your enemies.
Yes, the skull dice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has those, I would assume.
I just have a skull throne. I didn't realize I needed to be so damn fancy.
Well, now you know.
Yeah, that throne's just not enough. I mean, my goodness. So speaking of skulls and very doomy things, Storybook Brawl has been one of the games that I've been playing a lot lately.
Storybook, go on.
And for a game that is very much based out of the fantasy realm of, standard fairy tales, it's interesting how incredibly competitive it's been. It is what's the best way to describe it? If Hearthstone and TFT from League of Legends had a baby, it'd be Storybook Brawl. You get to play certain unique characters who have bonuses, and you play a turn-based auto chess sort of game where you get to pick different characters every round.
So you would have an incredibly toxic game. You would have an incredibly toxic game where everyone tries to tell you how to play your hand.
That's only if you stream.
That assumes that you're streaming it.
Okay.
In which case, yeah, absolutely. Everybody's going to do that. And there are a lot of streamers that typically play card games like Slay the Spire or Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering have all kind of jumped in on this all at once. So I don't know how much of that is being sponsored versus not, but it's definitely inspired me to take a look at it. It's free to play, which certainly doesn't hurt.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And it's very free to play friendly because in the game, basically, you get to choose your hero at the beginning of the game. And the first two heroes that come up are always accessible to you. And then they have two other ones that if you have them unlocked, you can choose one of those. So you can actually randomly select from all of the like 28 plus heroes that they've got.
Okay. And what did you say this was called again?
Storybook Brawl.
Hey, I'll link it in the chat.
You got it. Okay. Cool.
There you go. It surprisingly looks a lot like Hearthstone. Like the whole situation, like on the game board itself.
I think I think I remember seeing a thumbnail for because you streamed it one time, didn't you?
Sure did.
Yeah.
Wow, even the animation.
Right, because I saw the thumbnail, I was like, that's Hearthstone. And I saw something else, and it was just something I was doing brief. I was just looking quick, and I saw your thumbnail, and there was something that caught my attention where I'm like, that isn't Hearthstone. What the hell is he playing? And I'll get back to it and get caught up in everything else I was doing because the craziness that was last week.
Yeah. One of the lead developers is from Hearthstone specifically, so that shouldn't be too surprising.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. All right.
And I don't know if they took some of the art development as well, but that art style definitely matches up with it.
Yeah.
And I will say not playing Hearthstone right now sounds really fantastic. So it's good to have an alternative. It is a convenient time frame for this to get really popular, and I think it's worth playing around with at the very least to see if you like an auto battler.
I'm literally downloading it right now.
Yeah, there's no like steep learning curve to it, you know, like you already know like Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, like they're gonna have their own synergies and things together. So like the character design and how they choose to connect things around already gives you a sense of like what strategies you can perform in the game very naturally, and I love that. I think just overall it's a really fun game to get into, and without having that giant learning curve of like, oh, here are the 47,000 champions that are in League of Legends that this person is going to be based off of. What are they going to play today? What abilities are they going to have?
Oh my god. Can I just say, so this is somewhat on topic of what you just said, but so I've been looking for like interesting backgrounds on Wallpaper Engine. And I found this like really cool, like spray painty lady. She's like, it's exactly like my aesthetic of like dark backgrounds. And then like she's wearing like dark like leather jackets and stuff, but like all covered in neon lighting and accents. And then like the spray paint is also like very vibrant and stuff. And it's actually a League of Legends character. And I was like, oh, well, I don't want to have this as my background because I absolutely hate League of Legends, but this art style is freaking fantastic. I love it so much. And so I'm just like,
was it?
I didn't even know. I had no idea where it was from.
Was it one of the KDA characters?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What's her name? Akali?
Akali, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the art style is just, if you have Wallpaper Engine, just search Akali or KDA and you'll find like a billion of them, and they're so cool looking, but I hate that kind of game.
I would, except it would ruin our background right now because that's totally what we use for our background. It's
okay, everyone who's in chat and listening and DizzahGee, you can
Yeah.
Everyone but MissMicheleJean is what I'm saying.
I can't do it, guys.
That's entirely fair.
Mm-hmm.
So otherwise,
sorry, I didn't mean to derail. My bad.
Other than Storybook Brawl, what else have I been playing? I have finally given in a little bit to Epic Games and started downloading stuff on their launcher and not necessarily using it on Steam or defaulting to Steam. It also helps that if somebody's borrowing my Steam library, I can't get access to my games. So I am now purposely buying games that I know would be good games to play when my library is being borrowed.
Mm-hmm.
One of them,
the free games.
The free games.
Yeah, Epic has been doing a bunch of free games.
Yeah, I've paid no attention to that.
That's fair.
I don't know.
Neo, like Salty said in chat, Neo is free on Epic right now.
Yeah, there's a few places doing free games. Yeah,
not that Neo is your style of game, but it's free.
Yeah, if anything, add it to your library. Which, if you're listening to this right now, I think Far Cry 3 is free on the Ubisoft store right now too.
Ooh.
So,
and you know what they say: if it's free, it's for me.
Free is the best price.
See, what you don't hear is on my end, you're getting these rim shots. You'll hear it in the recording later, but they are there.
Oh, fantastic. So I found this game called Atomic Crops.
Atomic Crops.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It is a cute little roguelike.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where you simultaneously are growing your farm. And I totally thought this was Stardew Valley until then. Sorry, until the point where alien creatures would come in and swarm over your crops and try to destroy everything.
Yay!
Not only do you have this fighting content available even while you are trying to farm, which is difficult but enjoyable, but you get to explore the nuclear wasteland around you and find different things that help you in different roguelike ways.
Okay.
Definitely a good time. It's all time-based, so there are a lot of really interesting moment-by-moment decisions that you make. And I'm usually pretty bad at those, so it's been fun getting a little bit of practice as you increase the difficulty over the game.
Sure. Makes sense.
I'm on Epic right now, and it says that Neo is unavailable.
They ran out of copies, clearly.
I mean,
maybe.
It says it's free now until September 16th, and it's the 10th. So
that's a problem.
I'm a little confused, but okay.
Oh dear.
Okay, so that means the recorded version of this podcast will still have the accurate free game by the time it goes up. That's good. Good
for at least a moment.
Yeah, at least this coming Friday.
Sheltered, which I thought was a different game completely, is also free, which you can get. It's a deep and emotional survival management game. So I thought that this game was Sheltered. MissMicheleJean, you probably know what I'm talking about. Sheltered was the game that was you play as a fox or something like that, or
Yes. Okay. Yup. I do know which one you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
So somebody in my chat yesterday was like, "Yeah, Shelter's free," and I'm like, "Why would I want to play that game that came out from it was 2015 when it came out? I don't know if that's really a game for me." And now I just go to Epic and it's not that game.
Yeah, no, I do remember that. I think in particular because it had a fox in it, and certain other content creators definitely had there's a fox I must play.
But yeah, so there's Sheltered, which is it almost looks sort of like Fallout Shelter. It looks a little bit like Fallout Shelter, but you can get that it's for free on Epic.
Nice.
I've never heard of it, to be honest. But hey, it's free.
Hey, why not? Like I said before, right? If it's free, you can just add it to your library, right? Why not? Makes sense.
So, Miss Michelle, what have you been playing?
Oh goodness! All right. So what have I been? It's been a month since we had the last episode, right? So there's a few things I've been. Power Wash Simulator in particular has been.
Yep.
I've been
Yep.
playing
Yep.
a
I'll
lot.
get back to that too.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Power Wash Simulator. It's fascinating in my chat how many people like the idea of getting hosed down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that has been used a lot. Of course, when I find this out, of course, there's been a lot of getting up on the microphone and having this really warm voice on the microphone too. That's been a thing.
Wow.
Well then.
You know what? People, they're like, that was the thing that they went with.
You know, I wanna turn this into a good positive thing and be like, oh yeah, you know, like power washing it's a very soothing experience. It's very therapeutic when you're playing, almost just like calming to go up and down and relax and just see all of the work that you do. And I didn't make that any better. But the fact is,
Crazy.
it's definitely very chill, and I could see some ASMR being a nice addition to that. Definitely well, ASMR.
I totally didn't do the helicopter. I had a moment where I'm cleaning the wheel storage and just having that moment like I'm walking away from this right now because that's where my mind went. Yep. There's a clip of it. It's in my Discord. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, but that said, you're right. It is an incredibly soothing game that is very relaxing, and if you do have that moment where if you're not taking it the lewd way, everything you said checks out. Look,
I'm not saying anything. You all know how I feel. You know what I would be saying. I'm just keeping it to myself.
Look, I'm looking at chat. I'm just waiting for the like they know who they are. You know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
This is a safe space, Hippo. If you need to say something, it's fine. Nobody would ever take anything that you say and hold it against you in a clip or something like that.
Or yeah, they would never take anything that I say out of context. Ever. Not a single time.
You out of context? You out of context? No.
Lick it, chat. Lick it.
Yep.
Never take Hippo out of context. No. No.
Mm-hmm. No one would ever do that.
I don't think I simultaneously broke all three of us at the same time. That's a new record. Okay, I'm pretty thrilled with myself.
I do have a question for you guys. It's slightly derailing, but have you guys ever played? Hold on, let me. It's called I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a finger-licking good dating simulator.
I have not played it, but I am very familiar with the game.
I have definitely heard about this and will not admit to playing any.
Well, I will, because I did. I streamed it, and okay. So it's like a 2.5 hour game, right?
Yep.
Maybe even 3, depending on how quick you go through it. It should have been an hour, maybe 20 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes. It was super good until it like really just, it should have only been an hour and a half at max, not 2.5, 3 hours. I'm actually surprised at how good it was. Like it was actually really good. And then it was just like, okay, this should have ended a while ago, but we're still going because promotion, right?
You know which there's actually a dating sim that kind of got my attention because I've been curious about it. Is Boyfriend Dungeon.
I have to play that because we hit a sub goal.
Well, because look, it's an inclusive game. 2, there's a dungeon crawling aspect of it, so it's a multi-genre game. And overall, pretty well done from what I've watched of it. So
Yeah. Pims, she's played quite a bit of it. Well, not quite a bit, but she's played a couple of hours of it. She said it's really good.
mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it looks really good. The story looks interesting, and
I told Chad I promised them 1 hour.
Until you're like, I'm actually enjoying this. You know, I want to go ahead and just keep playing for a while.
Suddenly 12-hour stream. Oh my god, I'm really enjoying this.
Right. I mean, there's your next sim.
I don't know if that's really considered a simulation game, but
I've heard it's good for a romp, but I wouldn't do it for an extended time.
Yeah.
Couple 3 hours at times. Yeah. So Power Wash Simulator, that's been a lot of what some of my streams have been. Also got a chance to hop on a lawnmower and do some lawn mowing simulator.
I love lawn mowing simulator.
That was
of course I do, right?
The biggest thing that I had to compliment them on is the fact that they included an FOV slider. Thank you for including an FOV slider. Dear God.
Mm-hmm. Power Wash still doesn't have an FOV slider.
Yeah.
And it's 2021.
It's 2021. It doesn't have an FOV. Thankfully, it's at I'm guessing about an 80-90 FOV, so it's not horrible, but it'd be nice to be able to adjust it nonetheless.
Yeah, when you're wiggling the camera back and forth because you're trying to spray stuff down, even for me, I'm the one making the movements and it still makes me a little dizzy. So I can only imagine how it feels for chat who are not the ones in control of how quickly I move the camera.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. So there was that. I did very bad Farming Simulator 2019 this past week.
What makes it very bad?
Well, I did the tutorials just so I can learn how to do stuff. And what's a straight line?
Not fun.
Not what I was doing. And trying to figure out how to make a freaking hay bale was an experience too. Let me just say that. You know,
I have to say there's a mod for Farm Sim where it allows you to use GPS movements. Mm-hmm. So you just set it up and you go through. You like kind of move forward one time by it's like tracking your movement, and then after like I would say a couple of meters, it's set in, and you just say go, and then you say the spacing of how far you want it between, and so it'll go down one column, and then it'll automatically turn the tractor around and line up with the next column, and you don't have to do that. So if you're on PC, I forget what it's called, but it's an amazing mod. It's super helpful. As somebody who has played over 100 hours of Farm Sim, it should be base game, and at this point, in my opinion.
Maybe it'll be in 2021, right?
We'll see.
Yeah. So I had a chance to play that. I'm trying to think if there's anything on my off time I've been playing besides Magic the Gathering and RP. I'm trying to. I think that's a lot of it. It's been a lot of simulation games and just going around to different simulation games. Trying that out.
I feel like I've just been throwing simulation games at you for like over the course of a few years. So now you're like, maybe I should play some simulation games.
Well, the funny thing is, like, so you mentioned Train Sim. Like, that's been in my library since 2014. Like, I've had it for a long time, so you can always go back to that one. But some of the other ones, yeah. I think Power Washing like did that one almost on a meme, but it was entertaining enough where I was like, yeah, we can keep going back and doing this, and people found it entertaining, and just the way that the way we spun it here. How could you not? And it's enjoyable. Like I genuinely enjoy doing the maps. So
I mean, there's a reason why there are YouTube videos of people just power washing stuff in real life, and why thousands and thousands and thousands of people watch that stuff, right?
It's incredibly satisfying. Hell yeah.
It's extremely satisfying to watch. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Power Wash just doesn't have enough content, which it has a lot of content, but it doesn't have enough.
Yeah.
We need more. I want more levels.
I mean, that's one where if they did a whole pack that was just DLC for a couple bucks, it would be fully justified, you know?
Well, it's still in early access. So let's not suggest they do DLC just yet.
After full release, but yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's a solid business model for them, and yeah, I think those are kind of been the big things. I know on my own, I've went back into Mass Effect Legendary Edition and started a new campaign in 1, and I'm starting that playthrough again on my own. So it's nice. It's nice to play 1 in Legendary. Let me just confirm now, because we talked about playing like 2 and 3 in Legendary. I can fully confirm playing 1 in Legendary Edition is much better, so much better than the original client.
That's I was trying to tell you. You gotta wait, and you were like, "No, Hippo, I'm gonna do both." And I was like, "Okay, that's a lot." Okay,
but I'm doing it. I am doing it. I'm doing both, and I'm going back. Like I've got to go save Bay. That's where I'm at right now. I gotta go save my Bay and get going.
Okay, so I don't think we've touched on this topic for a little while, but have either of you English is dumb. Have either of you actually played Cyberpunk or gone back to it since the release?
Not recently, although there was an interesting discussion on it the other day that makes me want to go back a little bit. Yeah, I was talking with a friend who does some game development, and he's got this theory that Cyberpunk could very well become another No Man's Sky scenario, where after 5 years, they finally get it to where the developers originally said they wanted it to be. And it's got me thinking about it, but what's got you thinking about Cyberpunk?
So for me, my interest in it dwindled because there was a lot of bugs, but mainly the performance on PC on my computer, just like it was not optimal. And I was enjoying it, but I realized that there was a certain character that I really liked, but I couldn't do anything with because of the gender that I was playing. And so it kind of took me out of it a little bit. And then I also decided there's other games I should be playing right now anyway. And so I kind of set Cyberpunk on the back burner because, you know, we all know that CD Projekt Red is going to fix it. Like the thing is, it came out poor, right? It came out poorly on pretty much every platform.
Yep.
But we also know that CD Projekt Red will fix it. Like we know they've done it in the past with The Witcher. We know that they will fix it.
Yep.
So I was just like, I'll just put it on the back burner for now. That's fine. But a few months later, which here we are, I was like, I kind of didn't really like thinking about it. I didn't really like my character's story at all. Like I didn't care for the nomad experience. And so I decided that I was going to make another character, a different gendered character, and also play the corpo background. And oh my God, it's so different. I like it. It's actually good.
Okay.
I actually like the corpo, like the storyline. The corpo people suck, but
Important clarification.
Yes. And like the differences between like how Jackie treats you and stuff. Jackie is like your sidekick companion, who's pretty. I actually like. I don't even. He's buddy with you even then, but as a corpo, but it's like it's like a different side of the story, and I didn't really actually enjoy the other sides, the rebel side, the side that I thought I would enjoy. And playing as a corpo, I'm like, oh, I actually have like some more understanding of what's going on. I actually like this a little bit more. So I'm like slowly playing through that, but I'm also not trying to like gun my way into it, you know, like I did before, where I was playing like 8 hours straight sitting or even more, you know. Specifically because 2 games came out, you guys. I know we're still talking about games that we just started playing, but have either of you played New World beta?
I did. I registered for the beta and I just hadn't gotten into it. But for MMOs, I mean, I've dabbled a little bit with Final Fantasy 14, and then of course Guild Wars 2. There's a lot of that going on, especially with some of the season 1 stuff being brought back that you can go into and be part of, and especially now with more announcements regarding Cantha and the End of Dragons expansion coming soon. Oh boy.
It's interesting to me that Guild Wars is still getting content updates, because in my opinion, as somebody who hasn't played it for years, I felt like it was just kind of a dead game at this point, where like it doesn't, whatever kept me in the game previously isn't keeping me in the game now. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like, oh man, I really want to play this game now.
I'm pretty sure what was partially keeping you in game was me dragging you along for world boss fight. So
yes, for sure. Well, I hadn't played the game since it launched. I played like for, I don't know, probably 6-7 months, and then I quit. And then I let it just sit for a couple of years. And then you're like, dude, come stream this game with me. So I did. And that was like me going back to it. We played for a good 6 months or 7 months. And then I put it away, and I just haven't touched it since. And that was like years ago, right? It was like 1.5 years ago since I touched it last, I think. But so for me, the idea of going back to Guild Wars, I'm like, why? When there's so many other games out now that I could be playing. It doesn't grasp me the same way. I still like a lot of the mechanics of the way they do stuff, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. It doesn't have that like thing that makes me want to go back to it.
I think one of the things that will be visually appealing for it, and I had to go verify what I was about to say, because I heard it and I wanted to make sure, but the fact that there was going to be an update to DirectX 11 in Guild Wars will be nice too, especially since the original engine didn't was not compatible, I believe. So that update should help a bit with visualizations and optimization and such too. So I'm kind of hoping that makes things just look a little bit nicer in the game. I think what really makes it easy, it just they've done such a great job with details, and that's just what pulls me back. That said, I know a lot of people have been excited for New World since you brought it up. I know that a lot of people in the various RP communities I've been part of have been testing it out. Not only that, but expanding out to the friends of friends doing that, and there's been a lot of exposure and exploration of New World. It just, my registration for beta they're like, nope, not yet.
Okay, yeah, I got I got into the beta the second time as well. I haven't yet played it because I literally haven't had time. But also another game that came out that is playable at the moment, Icarus. You guys know what Icarus is? Okay, so Icarus used to be called Icarus First Cohort, which, what a terrible name. Man, what a terrible name. Anyway, the main developer is Rocket from DayZ or Stationeers, or I think there's another game that he started but never like really did anything with. So Icarus is a crafting survival game where you're like plopped onto a planet and you have to gather resources and do a bunch of stuff, and you have like a certain amount of time, and then you have to get back on your cargo pod thingy, like your drop pod, and then go back to like a ship. And if you don't get on the cargo pod, or if you don't get on the pod, you die. I mean, you're not dead. Your character is still there, but you can't do anything. You're never going back. Like they're never gonna come get you. So I haven't really played too much of it, but what I have played, I played about an hour of it last night because a community member actually gifted it to me. Like, huge thank you to them. They gifted it to me, and I played it. I'm supposed to play it with them actually tonight too. Okay. But it has DLSS, which is pretty nice, and DirectX 12 DLSS, which actually runs better, but it still runs like butt. Like, at least on my computer, it runs like butt. And I don't really have a bad computer. I have like 32 gigs of RAM, RTX 2070, and a Coffee Lake 8700 CPU. So it's not a bad computer, but it definitely struggles a bit with it. And yeah,
that's about what I'm running, so that's interesting to hear that.
I haven't really delved too far into it. I died because I I didn't have oxygen, and then I died. No, I only died once. But yeah, it has like storms and interesting stuff. I think they're testing the weather out this beta, which is this weekend. Very, very interesting stuff. I'm gonna play more of it tonight, so I'll have like a better understanding of what I'm doing. And you have to basically create different characters to go do different contracts. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, it's
Contracts.
Yeah. There's a reason why you're going to collect stuff and like build things for a corporation. I think I don't know.
Okay.
Wasn't paying attention. Okay. One more thing. How many of you guys have played Star Citizen recently? I mean,
Oh, not recently. I'm waiting for a free flight weekend again because I still am very, very vehemently, like, I guess, giving them money because of
for sure
everything that we've talked about in several episodes of this podcast.
Thou shalt not pre-order.
Right.
I totally understand. So I have a friend who this is the only reason why I even played Star Citizen over the weekend.
Tracy.
No. I have a friend in real life who came to visit, and he may or may not have given them thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm not even kidding you. Like, this dude owns like every ship in the game. So he's like, just download it. Just download it. Like, let's check it out, because he hasn't played in a while. So I hop into it, and I realize that Star Citizen has this functionality which it connects your camera to and like tracks your facial animations. So your face is now transposed to your character in game. So if you raise your eyebrows in game raise. This leads to very, very silly times. You, as you're walking through the corridors in the stations and stuff, your face, well, for me, my mustache makes the character's face like very like pursed lips. Because of my mustache, it thinks that I'm doing a duck face constantly. It's fantastic. It is so funny to me. We spent a good 2 hours just messing around with facial animations, standing in the middle of a corridor. Like, we weren't even playing the game. We were just messing around with the facial animations. It is so funny. So as I'm walking through the game, playing it as you do, my face is like a permanent duck face. So I'm just like, So it's really funny.
Star Citizen's now facial recognition software too. Good
yes,
to know.
It's like the only thing that's ever made me kind of go, maybe I should pay for a VTuber avatar that's really funny. Like, because if it's this good, you know.
Yes. Okay. I see where you're going with that, and that's I don't think there's not a single streamer that hasn't had that thought of like, should I feel like I should do this. I
don't want to actually be like a primary VTuber, but to like swap to a different character and like have conversations or something with them, or like the ability to have a silly face. Like, it's funny when I make a silly face, but it's hilarious when a character makes a silly face, right?
Exactly. Or doing that for a role play for a specific game that you're role playing on, that would be brilliant.
I wouldn't know what that's like at all. No. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, as soon as you mentioned that, it's like, I totally didn't think of Jean Hart there for a minute. No, that didn't happen at all.
Hang on. I want to. I'm gonna drop it in the Discord. You guys get to see the cursed images that I have taken.
Oh dear.
Hang on.
Chat,
okay, this is the one. I don't know if you guys
this.
can actually see this. I don't know if Michelle can show them.
But I don't have a way, because what will weirdly happen is like they'll get the reveal everything on my Discord, and
sure, no, that's okay. Anyway.
It's okay. We can recreate the faces since it's not like right here. So I mean, I think the closest in real life would probably be like
yes.
It's about
Yes.
there.
The camera's like
Out there.
right in his face too. It's so fantastic. Just like that massive duck face. It is so. I swear, you guys, if you have Star Citizen or you get a free flight weekend, please, 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 if you have a camera, do yourself a favor, turn that on, and just look at your character and make silly expressions. You will get a good hour of just messing around, making the character do silly faces and stuff.
The spacemen should not eat lemons, is what I'm going to call this one. That is
Agreed.
absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
This could actually be a reason to buy the game, and now I feel awful.
Maybe wait. They still haven't actually done anything, right? Like they still haven't come out with. That's not true. I went to a planet. I landed at just a random place, and then I subsequently slipped down a mountain and slid on my face all the way to the bottom. Hopped back in my ship, flew to a city, landed, picked up. I went into a shopping center. There was an adorable little penguin plushie. I bought it, and then I didn't know what to do with it because your character just holds it, and it turns out that you can actually just put it in your ship. But
so you had an Evangelion moment. Got it. Okay. I mean, do you have the plug suits? I don't know.
I'm just saying, it's pretty good. Like, yeah, it's not done at all, but and it runs like butt, but it's good. I actually really enjoy it. I don't know if I would pay like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to them though. So
I hear that.
Just-
yeah.
maybe like the very base model just to get in. But even then, yeah. I'm on the fence, right? Because like I don't want to support a company that's like not actually following through, which is why I kind of have an issue with like 7 Days to Die. But yeah,
I mean,
I had a lot of fun.
If you're enjoying it in the same way that you would enjoy Goat Simulator, it would be fair to put the money here instead of Goat Simulator. Just saying.
Hold on. Goat Simulator has its moments. I'll have you know.
So does Star Citizen, apparently.
It does.
Just saying.
I mean, there's nothing like landing on an alien planet, being like climbing to the very top of a mountain, slipping and sliding all the way down to the very base of the hill that you climbed up on your face.
I think the last time I did that was Mario 64.
I do that on Mount Chiliad all the time. I mean, that's not new to me. All you got to do is just hop in GTAO or a 5M server. You do that all the time.
It's really funny too because we got out of the ship. We got out of the ship.
Chat nailed it. Chat nailed it.
I didn't realize that there were weather effects. So I was actually like standing there, and then a storm kind of blew over, and my character's suit started like icing up, and I didn't realize. I was like, this looks weird, because at first it just looks like a weird texture bug or something if you don't know what's happening, and then like it progressively got worse and worse and worse, and then my suit was just completely covered in ice. And I was like, oh. Also, I thought I put my helmet on. I did not. I got out of the ship, and I was like, oh yeah, that must be a weird bug that my helmet isn't on. Just do not paying attention. I didn't put my helmet on. I'm very glad that planet had oxygen.
I was waiting for you to say that. Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to derail so much.
Oh gosh. Those are good. It gave me time to think about other stuff I've been playing, and I really can't think of anything else. The only thing else I can think of is the fact that I mean RP, and the fact that one of the servers I was on, one of my characters had her debut show, because we treat it as a stage and as a show, and different characters have like they're the main character of the show for the night. My character finally was for my birthday, the cast was like, we're gonna have your character star in the show tonight. I'm like, I'm nervous, but it went really well. And I think that the cast did a fantastic job of making it a smooth, enjoyable show for the people that enjoy the content that it provides. So, and that's everything I've been playing. So, I don't know about you guys, but I think this is a fantastic to take a break before we start diving into some of the headlines. So if you're watching here live on Twitch, we're going to take a quick break. If you're not a sub, there'll be some ads, but it's just playing over music, so whatever. And when we get back, we're going to cover some gaming news and such. And yeah, if you're listening on Anchor, which means if you're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever, we'll be back after just a quick blurb. So see you all after the break. We made it back, guys. We made it back. Can you believe that?
Hey.
Yeah, we did it. We did it.
Hey,
yeah.
friends.
We survived another round. We can go to the fall now?
What?
That's the next season, the fall, right?
Oh,
So-
fall. I was like, I mean, if I fall, I'm too old. I'll break a hip. Like,
Oh,
that's
Christ.
where my mind went.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair. Anyways, everyone, welcome back to the Newbcast podcast. Jumping into some headlines. I think the big news, like it's a blurb. It's quick because it's still like it's breaking today. I'm
we need the special effects for that, like breaking news. Dun, 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 dun.
Right. We'll just put that. So the breaking news today was while we've been waiting for action from Twitch to do something about these Twitch hate raids, they filed suit against two of the perpetrators of a lot of these bot hate raids. There's not a whole lot we can speak on that because this news broke like 2 hours,
couple of hours ago.
Yeah, 2 hours before the show started. So like we got the blurb and we're able to read on it, but that's the thing. That's probably so. I think one of the big things is that a lot of streamers were hoping for some type of comment, and
I'm sorry, I saw DizzahGee's comment in the chat.
Well,
cripes.
Sorry.
No, yeah, breaking hips apparently,
Breaking
guys.
news,
Apparently, hip.
that's all.
It just caught me off guard.
I think what because we had a lot of stuff around Twitch not saying anything, and a lot of streamers being like, "Why are you not saying anything?" And the fact that they have now filed suit, I partially wonder if that's part of the reason that we didn't hear as much as that we would like to have heard. But it also makes sense because when you involve litigation, then there's a lot of things that you can't say publicly because otherwise you kind of screw yourself over.
Well, it's not even that you screw yourself over, it's that they are legally not allowed to say certain things.
Right. Yeah.
It can ruin your argument. It could change your entire lawsuit, and
It's interesting because you, as a very large corporation like Twitch is, you don't want to like constantly. So they did like a couple of months or a couple of weeks ago, they did actually respond saying that they're going to do something, but that was like it, right? And they didn't say anything else. And it's kind of like you don't want to constantly talk about it because it sounds like you're kind of to the shareholders, it sounds like you're just like, oh, sorry, we're doing bad, sorry, oh, sorry guys, oh, sorry, well, sorry. The shareholders don't want to hear that, and so I think that's the primary reason why they're not saying anything. On top of that, obviously you have the legal aspect of just not being able to talk about litigation. And then on top of that, you don't want to tell people what you're doing because you don't want them to like know that you're doing something, right? So I think that's pretty much it. Like they just don't want to like they legally can't say stuff.
Right.
We talked about like this before with what do you call it? The Blizzard stuff like last month.
Yeah, exactly.
They literally are not allowed to talk, right?
Yep.
So
Yep, that's exactly what it is. So that's, I mean, like I said, this is a brief and not surprised that's what it turned out to be. So it'd be curious to see how it would work out, because it'd be involving European citizens, and yeah, it's a developing situation. But I mean, as long as they are on it, then could you someone take this quick, because I am going to die here in a second, please.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so I guess we could transition to the Paradox Interactive CEO stepping down.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
So
yeah.
Which really sucks that like all of this stuff has happened. There's this culture that we haven't really known. We kind of knew was there, you know, about like Blizzard and all these other corporations that are making video games. It's been kind of like it's been kind of toxic, right?
Yeah.
And so everyone, every corporation's kind of having like that reckoning of like, well, you know. So I guess the CEO stepped down because a lot of people are not happy with like the DLC that's been coming out for a lot of the games from Paradox, and like just this recent DLC that came out for Surviving Mars. It was a buggy mess. It was terrible. Like they just, I guess a lot of people are not happy with it. The same thing can be said for oh god, not Hearts of Iron, Victoria, I can't remember the name of it. It's the other game, one of the other grand strategy games that Paradox has created.
Right.
And the last 3 DLCs for that game have been so bad that people are just like quitting playing.
Right.
Victoria 3, sorry.
And you covered a lot of the issues with the games. There's also the timing of her stepping down is just quite an interesting coincidence, because at the same time as her stepping down, and there's claims that it's not related, but it's the timing is really interesting. Is that there was an internal survey of employee satisfaction and in like work environment, and there was some reports, like what was it, a third of those surveyed talked about harassment and a toxic work environment that they were involved in. And it was literally the not to the same degree as what we saw with Activision Blizzard, but just more of the same stuff that we've seen from them, that we saw from Ubisoft, that we saw from Riot. And it's a continuous thing that is being exposed to the world at large, instead of just the untold secret of game development in the gaming industry as a whole. And part of the reason that the timing is an interesting coincidence is the report came out a couple days after the previous CEO had stepped down. However, she saw the report prior to her departure. I think it's multifaceted though, right? Like I'm sure there's some that like she was already looking. There's a chance she could have already been looking, because you talked about a lot of the shortcomings that games have had, right?
I mean, there was Rome, Imperator Rome was just a complete flop. I've yet to really see anything making it better. I know that this had patches, but I haven't seen them pushing that game at all. That was just it literally came out and was dead in the water after like a day or two. Like people did not come out to what they were expecting, which by the way, I am talking from an ass I'm talking from an ass. I'm talking from an aspect of like I actually love Paradox. Like I love a lot of their games. So this to me is kind of like because you know they made Crusader Kings 2, which was like one of my more favorite games of the past few years that I hopped into. They made Crusader Kings 3, which is fantastic. They made Surviving Mars, which I really enjoyed, but I also agree that the DLC was kind of I don't know if it's really that good.
City Skylines.
City Skylines. We're talking like staple games for my channel.
Yeah.
And they just kind of are no, like all the DLC just so hearing about this, about a company that I truly care about and really like what they do, it kind of sucks. Like, I mean, it sucks for all the people involved, but it also sucks that it's just like we kind of knew like this person has been the CEO. What's her name?
I'd have to look it up again.
Frederick Wester.
That's who stepped back in.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's Eva Younger. Or no. I oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I'm so bad with last names.
It's just really sad that like we kind of felt from like the company that the games were not up to par with what we were expecting from Paradox, and it seems like mismanagement from the very top, which we kind of knew about from most game companies. Like the mismanagement usually happens at the upper levels where the developers are like, hey, we can't get this whatever out when you want it, you know.
Because yeah, it was Eva Lundgaard. Lundgaard. But her stance was, or her claim is that it was differing views on her reason for departure. But you know, what was the differing views? Was it the game performances and how she thought they went versus how they came out? Was it the survey? Was it?
I personally think it's this is straight up speculation, you guys. So we don't have any insider knowledge, but I feel like a lot of it would just be like, you know, she had like a vision of how they were going to release DLCs and like launch games and stuff, and other people were kind of like, well, we can't necessarily pull that timeline off. That just creative just creative licensing in like the corporation itself is just like, and you have to conform to a timetable is what I'm saying, and like that kind of stuff. And she probably didn't want to deal with that anymore or something. I don't like I said, I have no idea. Straight speculation.
Yeah, it would be. It's interesting to see this continue, like, because there's been a few different studios now or developers, publishers where there's been leadership turnover, and there's been some interesting coincidence involving some of that. And I think especially going into Q4, seeing how this impacts the games going into Q4 and what we'll continue to see as a result of what happens with Q4, how much more turnover we see.
Yeah.
Well,
I would say
for sure
please,
is, I mean, having the prior CEO come in as the CEO again indicates exactly where they want to go, which is, hey, the changes that were trying to be made weren't jiving, so we want to go back to what was happening before. I don't know if we necessarily live in that same world, which is going to be the challenge going forward. Especially given that there are a lot of different elements as we look at developers that really do need to change, and we can't go backwards. The question is, what does that look like internally? Which, I mean, I have no clue what that view is going to look like. But people are going to try to get some of the experience from the past. And hopefully they'll be able to do that without all of the mess ups that have come along with that too.
Right. No, absolutely.
Well, so I agree, like, with you on like they kind of just want to go back to what they were doing before the new CEO, aka now the old CEO, took over. But I believe that you know, they've been working on stuff for some time, so we're gonna still see at least the next releases for DLC, maybe even a new game. I don't know if they're coming out with a new IP, but a lot of that stuff was under her leadership. And so when it comes out, even though it's under the old CEO, which is now the new CEO, it's still going to be like her impression on the company, right? So we'll see what happens. I guess only time will tell. Again, this is another story where only time will tell what's going on with Paradox. Like I said, I love Paradox, so I hope that this is the correct step for them, because I don't want to see that company go under, because they make some of my most favorite games of all time.
I hear that. Yeah, this is one that we're gonna have to stick a pin in and just keep an eye out for. I think it's just I think that it probably wouldn't have gathered as much attention if the employee survey didn't come out right around the same time. I think that kind of just elevated the awareness around Ebba's departure from Paradox, and especially with what happened with Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard. Like it just kind of magnified that departure as, oh, this is an interesting little coinkadink, and watching people respond to that. Yeah, so there's that, and then I'm just kind of going through and looking at the headlines that we had posted about, and just so much of it is just smaller stuff. So I do have a topic discussion for us too, since all the headlines are smaller. So when we get that far, especially since sim games are things that we're talking about, but we'll get back to that. Yeah. Kind of talking about a lot of the developers and whatnot. It's interesting that one of the developers that I saw that there was some speaking out on was the development group behind Among Us talking recently. I'm not sure how much you followed up on this, but the developers of Among Us spoke out about the imposters mode in, ready for it, Fortnite.
Oh, this is going to be so much transition.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so
I didn't actually hear anything to do with this, so please, by all means, take the reins.
So yeah, basically there was Fortnite had came out with an imposter mode in the game. It was a short time event, but it is almost verbatim Among Us. And what made this stick out is not only did it resemble Among Us, the developers kind of at a point just kind of spoke out, and they're just like, it's a shame that there was no attempt to make it their own, because while like the developers behind the game completely understand that they don't own that that type of gameplay, but when the game, like the map and the idea behind the game is almost verbatim, it's like, that's
really,
yeah,
they straight up copied the map too.
Pretty darn close. Like if you overlay the two maps, they are strikingly similar.
That's rough.
Yeah. The only difference is first person versus the top down that Among Us provides, but beyond that, it's almost exactly the same map, the same idea of I cannot think of the word that I'm supposed to use for this, but not equal. I'm blanking on the word right now. Anyway, the imposter versus the regular crew and doing tasks and what tasks you're doing, like it's very similar. And the thing of it is that what made it even more of a kind of a sore spot for the Among Us staff is they tried reaching out to Epic Games about it, tried to do a partnership, and Epic just never got back to them.
I mean, they followed through without the developers. That's really shisty. Well, we know how Epic works with Fortnite.
They've copied how many different things now? How many different dances without any recognition? It really doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
That any moment that they can take something for free, they're going to take it.
Yeah, I just wish with this one they weren't so blatant. Like what was it, 4 years ago? There was a fight between the developers of PUBG and Epic about the battle royale type game. The difference with that though is Epic made it different, right? With the whole building aspect in the battle royale, no one else was doing that. They made it their own. Whereas this particular copy, they didn't do a damn thing. They just kept the same gameplay and just went, "Oh, it's first person. Enjoy this imposter mode where you have to." Yeah, it.
How is this dodging a lawsuit? I mean, it's really hard to legally just show, like, prove that they have copied directly, even though, like, we all know, like, the law isn't what common sense is to, like, most people, right? Like, it's obviously blatantly copying, but even so, legally, can you prove it? That's all that matters, unfortunately.
Yeah, and all they can say, like, the biggest thing is that the devs could show that they had emails with Epic where they tried reaching out to do a partnership, and then shortly after that there was there was this release of very similar looking gameplay and maps. But the other thing that Epic would have going for them is they're a pretty big company, and the Among Us staff is not.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to, like, actually bring a lawyer down on them because Epic has so much money versus, like, a little indie dev.
Yeah. So just the idea of trying to go after Epic like that, like, Epic could just wring them out dry of any money that they have because of legal costs. It wouldn't behoove them to do that at all. They just kind of go, well, if you're a fan of Among Us, just be aware this is what Epic Games did.
So this is going to go a little bit into tinfoil hat territory.
Let's go. I'm game.
But
Let me post the Illuminati in chat. Hang on. Okay, let's go. I'm ready.
So, is Epic just trying to see legally how far they can go with absolutely everything possible?
Didn't they just win? Hold on. I just saw an article just before we started the podcast where they actually won some kind of ground against Apple.
Yes,
they did. Yeah. They didn't get a lot of stuff with that Epic lawsuit against Apple. And for those who aren't familiar with the scenario with Fortnite and Apple, so Apple likes charging their costs for anybody who gets an app in the App Store, and it's a pretty hefty percentage. There's some question as to whether or not that's monopolistic, and Epic says, well, I'm not going to deal with this. Everybody can go and get your V-Bucks somewhere else, and that's not a problem. We'll advertise, we'll give you links directly into our game to do it.
Yep.
And Apple says, absolutely not. We want our share. Yep. So that's created the current dilemma that has reached the courts, and the court decision ended up being that Apple doesn't have a monopoly when it comes down to apps. However, Epic does have the right to let people purchase their currency separately from the App Store, and they can advertise about it in their app, which is actually a really good win for them legally.
Yeah, because, and you can see this even with, like, the Twitch mobile app, right? Like, if you go do a sub, you notice that subs cost more on mobile. It's because Apple's taking their cut, or Google's taking their cut. And Epic, what they were trying to do is they're trying to cut out that middleman and just go, well, just buy it from us. And Apple, as a result, it's like, no, that's against the terms of service. And they removed Fortnite from the App Store. And Epic sued. And yeah, this is the other breaking news today, right? Is that it was in federal court in Northern California that Apple does not have a monopoly. However, they cannot bind someone to just their financial platform, which allowed Epic to go, you can come to our site. And it's not limited to just Epic. This is any developer.
So, okay. I know that Epic seems to be the bad guy here, and they kind of are, but them pushing so hard against every single person in court is setting precedents for the rest of the industry.
Yep.
And this is actually super important that these things happen.
Yep.
So, well, yes, Epic is kind of douchey. It's important that we have these legal battles to set the precedents for other companies in the industry.
Yeah.
And on mobile stores in general.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's this is how you can look at it objectively and just not be a fan like a diehard fan, right? You can go and say, yeah, this thing that they did with Among Us kind of fucking douchey. Some of the stuff they do with in what's it, exclusive deals with their store, kind of douchey at times. This one was not one where they were punching down. They punched up on this one because, let's face it, Apple's one of the biggest companies in the world. They punched up on this one and they won. This is indeed a win, not just for them, but for developers and consumers too. And the big reason to understand that, and why you have to understand that, is because they basically cut Apple out of this situation, and they're taking a 30% cut and saving the consumers of those games and the stuff that you're buying in games money.
I'm sorry, I just thought, like, the developers are so mad that they're taking a 30% cut, and yet Twitch is taking 50% of content creators' subs. So we're talking massive court battles, right? And over 30%, and we're still here with 50% cuts.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's nice that things are being set in stone, but I'm a little worried about how they're being set. And I think it's also really concerning that Apple, I think Epic is being really smart because they have enough money to legally have the battle that they've had with Apple. Like, they have the lawyers, they have the money, they have the incentive to do so between the Epic Store and everything else. The people who made Among Us, they don't have that sort of legal team. They don't have that precedent. Yeah. And here's the worst part about it, is the more that Epic can get away with these little infringements on, is this copyright, is this not, when a company who's blatantly being ripped off says, hey, I don't want to risk the legal fees, I don't want to risk this challenge, that sets a different precedent, which means that it is more okay for Epic to do these things. Because you'll be able to say at that point, well, nobody's challenged this. We took this game, we took that game, and nobody's been able to make a statement about it. When I completely ripped off this game, and yeah, like everything except for the nose of this one character is identical, you can't do anything because you didn't do anything to me before. And it's unfair because it assumes that people have money to make those legal arguments when they can't.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's frustrating, but I think that it's good in the long run. I mean, like I said, Epic is kind of coming off as a douche in every scenario. Even though they kind of won this situation, they're still kind of douchey in like every other aspect, you know?
Yeah, like one aspect of what they've done does not absolve them of every other shit thing that they have done, because they have done their fair share, and it doesn't improve that at all. It's just we can objectively look at it and go, you did one good thing, thank you for doing the good thing. It doesn't absolve you of everything else.
It wasn't that they were like trying to do a good thing for the industry. They were trying to do a good thing for themselves.
Exactly. It just it's the side effect of it.
It wasn't out of the goodness of Epic's heart that they did this, right? Like it's just straight corporate greed is what it is.
Oh, absolutely was.
It just so happened that this time it kind of benefited everyone.
Yeah, because it has that that Wow, I'm just not wording right now.
Words are hard. It's understandable.
Yeah, they are hard. Look, that's why there's an emote for that here. That precedent, setting that precedent is kind of the big thing, and when the precedent is consumer friendly, then at least can acknowledge that it happened.
Yeah, I worry a little bit that the little guys that aren't going to make those legal arguments are going to get hurt, and that ultimately is going to stifle creativity in the industry, because nothing is worse than having your concepts taken by somebody else and rebuilt basically block from block.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't even know if we even want to touch on this subject, but there was an indie dev who recently quit being a dev, or they said they were going to quit until everything happened. But it was basically a horror developer who created games under that you could finish in under 90 minutes, and which is the Steam return policy. If you can finish a game, or for any reason, you can refund your game for without question, and if you haven't played more than 2 hours of it.
Mm-hmm.
And my knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, well, just make your game longer. But then I also thought about, well, this is an indie dev. He's probably not just an indie dev. He's probably like working a real job and stuff. And while he knew what he was getting himself into, so what happened was, like, he was making these games, people would buy them, beat them, and then return them, and so he was making no money. And so he tweeted, I'm quitting. I can't be a dev anymore. People are just being jerks. And like I said, my knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, well, just make your game longer, idiot. But that's kind of a douchey thing. I think Steam here needs to step up and protect indie developers, or any developers for that matter, who want to make like a shorter game. There are certain things that they could do, right? So if you play the game and you beat it, you probably shouldn't be able to return it, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if you beat it under 2 hours, you probably shouldn't be able to return it. That developer earned the money that you gave them. And so I feel like this is an aspect where, after thinking about it, I completely changed my mind, and I'm like completely reversed, where this person, this is their love, this is their passion, and they're not making a lot of money here, you guys. Their games are like $10 or less. Like, it's not like this person is like rich sitting pretty, right? They're making like at most like a couple $1,000s off of a game at most, like. So I think Steam needs to go ahead and, like, crack down a little bit, or at least make something. I heard a lot of people saying, like, why don't you just make you beat the game ending, and you get like an achievement for that, and once you get that achievement, you can't refund it, which is like one way to do it, I guess. I don't know if that's actually true, if that is a way that Steam can do that. But it's like such a minimal effort that I think that Steam in this case should be doing something. I don't think that this is the developer's fault, and at least in this aspect. Anyway, the developer since has had a huge influx of purchases and encouragement to continue being a developer, and so apparently this person's games were really well liked as well. So I mean, it is really sad. In a perfect world, we wouldn't have to worry about this, but people be douchebags, right? So
it brings about a couple of real challenges. First things first, what makes a game beaten? Like, what makes a game where like it's absolutely completed, and who gets to decide who that is? If it's your developer, if it's the person who's making the game, well, guess what? I'm going to give you an end of game achievement at minute 1, the moment you pop it on, and boop, now you can't refund it. So I feel like it's a recourse that's going to have challenges either way.
Absolutely.
I almost wonder if it would be best in a spot like that to even revert to the old Steam system of, like, it's going to have to be a manual review if a developer opts to go into this program where they say if you purchase the game, there are no refunds on it except for exceptional situations. And maybe that's
just
even
like
something.
Buyer beware.
Exactly. Or even the developer gets a slightly lower cut on it because, hey, there are going to be people who have to work for Steam who manually go through these circumstances to determine what's, sus and what isn't.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's a delicate one, right? Because I think that there's a lot of... Because what if it was you got a $60 game, but you beat it in under 2 hours? Is it worth the $60?
I mean, see, in this aspect, I think you kind of knew what you're getting yourself into, hopefully, at least. If you're spending $60 on a game, I hope you know something about that game. I don't know. I understand what you're saying. But generally speaking, $60 is usually like a AAA title. Not necessarily, though. I mean, yeah, usually, but not necessarily.
Right. Exactly.
The great thing about Steam and Valve is that there's a lot smarter people working there than me, and I know that they can do something that will actually like fix a lot of the problems and a lot of the things that will pop up. And sure, maybe there'll be other problems that happen along the way, but again, they're a lot smarter than me.
Yeah, and see, I think, and it was said in chat too, yeah, like, if it's a 2-hour game, like, there should be some disclosure into something like that too, if you're gonna...
Mm-hmm.
I think...
Well, and that's that the developer actually did say in his descriptions of all those games, saying, like, you can beat this in under 2 hours, like...
Yeah, so, like, if that disclosure's there, then there's not a lot of recourse for someone to return it, because they're like, oh, the game was too short. It's like, the developer told you it was gonna be too short. You know?
Yeah, no, he even in his Steam description, it did say, hey, this game is like maybe 90 minutes long. Like, you could probably finish it sooner. So it was there. Like, it's not like he was deceiving people. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get this really cool long game and then I beat it in like an hour. What the heck? You knew what you're getting yourself into, because there was an actual thing saying, hey, this game, it's very short. So... But like I said, since that happened, a bunch of people have gone and bought his games and like said, encouraging words. Some people have said, oh, well, you were just trying to get people to get on your side because you're quitting game development or whatever. And that doesn't really make sense. But
look, just because you're willing to be manipulative doesn't mean that everyone is trying to be manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no,
how long to beat.com is I use it all the time for games if I'm like interested in playing. And I'm like, that's how I knew that I Love You, Colonel Sanders, finger licking good dating sim was supposed to be about 2.5, 3 hours. And then I played it and it was 2.5 hours and I was like, I wish this game was only an hour.
Then you could return it.
It was free. It's free.
Yeah, but you should still be able to return it.
I want this out of my library right now.
Oh goodness. What other headlines did we have? I think we just kind of covered a lot of the headlines that I had put there, and that we had posted throughout
my news. I'm not seeing anything that we haven't really touched on.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess we could do a little bit more of Twitch news if you guys are interested.
What do you got?
Dr. Lupo and Tim the Tatman were bought out and now exclusively stream on YouTube. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to talk about that.
It's interesting because I found that the timing was rather interesting. I know it wasn't done that way purposely, but the timing was interesting.
It was on the 2nd.
Well,
Dr. Lupo left a couple of days before, I believe.
He went,
right?
Yeah, right. The big thing that stuck out is he had this huge going live like GIF on his Twitter account, and it was on September 1st, which was the day off Twitch. And a few people were tweeting.
It was the second.
It was the first. It was the first.
Okay.
It was on the first that he had that huge gif and going live, and a few people were tweeting back like, really, you chose today to go live? And he just kind of winks and go, yup. And you go back and look at the URL, like, why would he say that? Oh, that's why he would say that. He's not on Twitch anymore. He's on YouTube.
I think that, in my opinion, at least, we're I'm hoping as a creator on Twitch that this kind of makes Twitch go, so Mixer is no longer an actual threat, right? Mixer's gone. The only real threats are now Facebook gaming and YouTube. And YouTube is probably in a bit better position. I think YouTube and Twitch are like, they're definitely rivals, and I think that, you know, they're sniping the bigger streamers. So I think this is an interesting concept, because the reason why Mixer didn't really work when they bought Ninja and Shroud and stuff is because they didn't bring their viewership over, right? They didn't bring their community over so much. And I think that most people have a YouTube account, right? Mixer, you had to like sign up and stuff, so you didn't already have an account made. So I think that barrier to entry, number one, gone. Now going to find where live streams are on YouTube
is a nightmare.
You gotta, like, scroll down in the sidebar, and it's not promoted at all. You have to find the game that you want to watch first, and then you can pick between who's streaming.
So what you can do is, if you're in the recommended for you, or like in your subscriptions, you show up at the top now if you're streaming live, and that is the best that they've got. But still, it's still on, like, it's on the left side in a scroll bar with a little red dot next to it. It's not a separate now live, which would be huge. Huge if they would have that. And I don't know what just happened with my screens there, but that would be such a big thing if they just had that, like, a now live. Like, their streamers would hugely benefit from that. I think the other thing that there was some talk about is the fact that you can't give their equivalent to Twitch subs there yet. You can only do it for yourself.
You can't.
That's just a matter of time, though.
Yeah, that really is. It really is just a matter of time before it happens.
So it is in my hopes that Twitch sees what's happening, that their number one boys are getting sniped off, you know, and they're like, oh no, we should probably do something. You see, you say no, you keep saying no, but at some point they're gonna have to do something.
It doesn't help that their C-level employees at one time have flat out said other people just fill the gap.
Sure, there's definitely other people to fill the gap, but again, I'm
like, there's nothing wrong with being hopeful about it, right? There is absolutely nothing wrong being hopeful about it. Heck, the day of a day off Twitch, I said the exact same thing when talking about Tim the Tat Man and Dr. Lupo going, right, and going, God, I really hope that Twitch would pay attention to this. And then the quotes were pointing out to me, I'm like,
sure. So right now, that's how they feel. I do find it interesting how Twitch dealt with Ninja leaving versus Tim the Tat Man, where Ninja, they acted like a broken up significant other, freaking out and like just being so rude and conniving. But then you have the way they were like handling it, with at least PR wise, saying, oh, we hope that you have a good career over there and stuff like that, which was very interesting to see. I don't know. It
was advantageous for them to do that after what happened with Ninja, because a lot of people are like, look, we might not like Ninja, but that was a kind of a shitty thing you kind of just did there. It was not professional at all. So by doing what they did with the PR with Tim the Tat Man, like, it was just good PR. Yeah,
it's interesting. So while C-level employees have said that they're not going to do anything, at some point it's going to affect their bottom line at some point. And while, yes, there are a sea of people that they could raise up, which they definitely do, they promote other people's channels on our channels, which is
garbage.
So not okay. But
yeah.
You know, it's interesting to see what's going on, and I think that we are living in a very tumultuous landscape on Twitch. Things are going to be changing, and it's only bad PR for Twitch right now.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help because, like, one of the things that you mentioned is you were talking about the cut, right? Like, it's interesting because I was part of a conversation with a couple other creators who have their own podcast. And we do Sunday morning PUBG, but we usually have coffee before we get started with it. And we were talking about that percentage of what they get and taking revenues and going, hey, if you want to support us, we have PayPal links and we have Patreon or whatever. And talking about ways to support us, like, you can still get some of the support and do it other places because Twitch takes such a large cut. And then they have creators.
So important. It's so important. I love saying this. It's so important to diversify your portfolio.
It's true though. It's absolutely that is beyond true though. You're right, because they do take such a large cut of it. It hurts, you know. One of the content creators I'm friends with, Rob, who has been in the content creation sphere for 15 years, talks about it all the time, because one of his big arguments is he goes, I stream once a week and I get a 70% cut. You have these other streamers on the platform that are 5, 6, 7 nights a week and they're taking 50% of their cut. That's kind of messed up.
Yep.
And Rob is right. He is absolutely right about that.
And I wonder how many of these people who are our top people with Twitch have, you know, an individualized agreement with them where they are getting more of a cut, and Twitch wouldn't have a big reason to be persuaded, because if they can rise other people to it that are willing to take the 50% cut, then they're really not losing revenue. The question, I think that there isn't a big incentive if I'm that C-level executive to think, oh, I'm actually going to lose money at this point.
Sure. Yeah. So these bigger streamers, right? These bigger streamers, Dr. Lupo, Tim the Tatman, they're all premium partners. If you don't know what premium partner is, this is something that Twitch wants to keep hush hush. There are different levels of partners. There are normal partners that they still have the 50% cut, and then there are premium partners that get like a negotiated cut.
Yep.
And it really depends on, like, they give you this arbitrary goal of you have to have these numbers for this amount of time, and if you fall below it by 1 point, it doesn't matter, you don't get premium partner. Yep. And sometimes people will get that and they still say no. Yep. And like I said, it's completely arbitrary, and
it's the worst kept secret is for content creators that pay attention to how their structure works. Though it is the worst kept secret, because how many, I mean, without even saying names, I could think of 4 or 5 people. I mean, I named one clearly, but I know 4 or 5 people that are in that sphere, right? And they have that negotiated cut. I don't getting partner at this point. You have to weigh the benefits of it, especially since the cut isn't any better, right? Like, you're getting a check mark, which is great for external opportunities when you're trying to work with other entities, right? When you're like, hey, I can debut your game here because I'm a partner. I got this check mark, yada yada. But internally, like, you've also signed yourself to exclusively be on Twitch. Like,
right. Well, that's what I was actually thinking about. Is if you're an affiliate, you can stream anywhere you want. Yep. You can't stream the same content. Like, you can't dual stream because Twitch has an exclusivity of 24 hours.
Yep.
But you can stream on YouTube. You can stream on Facebook. You can stream on TikTok. You can do any of that. If you're a partner on Twitch, you're not allowed. In your contract, you are not allowed to stream anywhere but Twitch.
Yep. Yeah. So, like, one of the things we could do is we could start taking the podcast, which goes to YouTube eventually, right? Like, it ends up there a few days after the show. I could just stream it straight to YouTube. keep it there. The video editor there is a hell of a lot better than it is on Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, we could be live on YouTube as well. I mean,
yeah,
we could have two different podcasts going not at the same time, but we could have two different podcasts. But yeah, it's a very interesting thing, and I hope that Twitch kind of. I'm trying to be optimistic, you guys.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the people at Twitch are good people. They have good intentions, and they do want to like make the platform thrive, but they're not the ones making the decisions.
Correct. I would completely agree with that statement. Like, I mean, I have a friend that works at Twitch, and I know that he has nothing but good intentions, but he's also not making decisions that impact so many creators. So while he's got good intentions, he can only do so much.
You got to have good intentions, and you also need to make money. I get that. And right now it's kind of like when we saw the wars for the game purchase platforms. Like, if we have more competition out there in the field, it will tend to advantage the people who are in that smaller boat that can make choices, that can make decisions individually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right, and it creates that. And what would have to happen is you'd have to have some of the other larger ones that are around, like, let's say like Pokimane or QXC or Hassan or any of those other big names. And if they start going elsewhere too, that's when Twitch, because when you start losing a lot more of the big names, then can you be hopeful and hope for change? Yeah. And then what you're talking about, Dizza, with in regards to having that competition, it becomes real competition then, because then you'll have more people that'll make those snap decisions going, well, I'm gonna go too, I'm gonna go get only 30% of my cuts taken over on YouTube or Facebook. And
I mean, there's platforms where you can still stream on Twitch just as much as you want it, but you just say, hey, I have a fan house, like come sub to my fan house, and it's like $5, but you get like most of that $5 versus like 50% or 50. So we get like $2.49 a sub. But if you have like a fan house, you're getting like $4. Let's just say $4.50, right? Like, that is so much more money you're able to like survive versus barely able to like pay your bills,
Right. There's that. Streamlabs has a reoccurring donation that you can do. You can set up reoccurring tips to be just go off, and it's a minimum of $2.50, which, hey, guess what? That's how much we get from it. So it's literally the same thing and it's half the cost to you.
Unfortunately, I think at $2.50 you don't get subs. you don't get like the emotes and stuff. I guess there are certain people out there who are like,
that's what it is though, right? The point is like, you do the $2.50 recurring donation on Streamlabs, right? That's how much we get from the Twitch cut, right? Yeah, you don't get the emotes, but it's also costing you half the money that it would as a subscriber. It's only costing half of what it would otherwise cost. So if you wanted to support more people, you could do it, not have it impact you the same way.
Sure.
Yeah. Or go the other way around, right? Like, okay, you have your subs so that you have your emotes, but you, instead of doing like a tier 2 or tier 3, you're like, I'm just going to give the rest out directly to that person.
One of my moderators does that.
It's just inconvenient, and Twitch knows that they can take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah, no, you're right. And you know what? One of my mods does that. He, after having that discussion with the other two I was talking about, is Music Chicken, Boondaba, they're the names of the streamers. After having that conversation with them, that one of my mods was like, you know what? That's not a bad idea, and switched it to tier 1, and then did the difference on Streamlabs, and I see the whole thing then. So
no, that's a great one. That's a great thing. I really I want to set up like a thing to pay my mods where it's like, But at this point, I'm not quite there yet. But at some point, I would like to make like a little tipping fund specifically to dole out some cash to them for spending their time in my channel and protecting our community and just genuinely being like awesome, dependable people, you know?
Absolutely. I think the same thing about, because I'm just like, if I look over this way, I just look at like what my mods have done tonight, for instance. It'd be nice to be able to recognize that a bit, because they've been busy tonight. They have definitely been busy tonight, and it's noticeable and it's appreciated, guys, gals, and other pals. Their ideas, right? There's Coffee House you mentioned, or even just having a different platforms, like even a Patreon, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean,
Patreon takes a cut, but you know. Yeah,
they also, never mind. I'm not gonna go on like a crusade, but yes, there's other platforms out there to diversify your portfolio. So seriously, like, it's important that we do that as a content creator, and I think that this, like, just bringing it all the way back around, I think that Tim the Tatman and Dr. Lupo getting bought out by YouTube, while may not do much to Twitch, it does get their attention, right? Like, Twitch is aware that this is now happening, that their people are being poached, and do they want to stop it? Probably. My guess is, yeah, they don't want to watch their bigger creators get poached who are making the money, right? So, while yes, they can bring up people from the bottom or like the mid tier or whatever, they can totally do that. Why do that when you can just stop that from happening, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe make incentives so that people don't want. Unfortunately, the problem with this being is that they're Twitch partners, and they're not just Twitch partners, they're like number one, like, we're talking like 0.01% of Twitch, right? We're talking like that's the level at which they are. So what happens with them may not actually do anything for us affiliates or even just normal partners, like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they'll only do stuff with like bigger partners, and that's fine, I guess, but it's a thing. It's a good thing in my opinion. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to be optimistic here. I think that Twitch sees
so
what's
cute
happening.
Of you trying to be optimistic. That is so, aw, that's adorable.
I think that Twitch is definitely going to have to do something at some point if this continues to happen.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
No, if it keeps going that way, because there's other things regarding that too, and like who they promote and whatnot. I'm not going to go into it, but if you go into a thing that Felicia Day recently posted about, that's kind of insightful and interesting too.
And also it's Felicia Day, so I mean, constant drooling.
Fair.
She's an incredible person. She's an incredible human being.
She is. I completely agree with that. I don't disagree with you on that at all. In fact, yeah. Yeah, that's that. Do we have anything else that we want to touch base on this particular topic, or?
I think we've destroyed this topic. I don't really see us being able to like really add more to these thoughts. I don't know. Maybe you guys feel differently.
The pinata has been dropped down into the ground, and we are continuing to hit it with bats. And
a dead horse? Are you saying that we are beating a dead horse?
Yeah.
A pinata is not a horse. A pinata is merely a recreation of a horse.
But
with delicious candy.
A pinata.
What?
I'm just, could a horse be a pinata? I'm asking a question.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, can a horse have candy inside it?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, then yes.
Well then.
It's interesting. What about a tauntaun? Could a tauntaun be?
Is a tauntaun a pinata?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Arguably, yes. A tauntaun is indeed a pinata.
Speaking of tauntauns, did you guys hear about the KOTOR remake announced?
I did not.
Yes.
Oh, wait, maybe I did. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm lukewarming up to the concept.
There is a teaser trailer that was recently released that you can see a figure standing in a shadowy light and is talking about. I had to play it back again, but you see the red lightsaber light up, and it's Darth Riven, and yeah, remake of KOTOR. Thoughts?
I'm down.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I played KOTOR way back in the. Oh my god! I just googled what a Hans is. Honse. It's Honse. Just Google it. Images will pop up. It is. Oh, what a cursed image that is.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Thank you, Pims, for bringing that to my attention. That is, unfortunately, that is something right up my alley, and I hate it.
So, yeah, quick things of it is that there is a Knights of the Old Republic that remake that was announced. There is a limited time exclusive for it on PS5, but there will be additional releases that follow. I'm trying to find it, but I know that BioWare is not behind this one. It's another EA studio.
So how difficult is it still to get a PS5? Can we get a check on that?
Sure. Let's see. How difficult?
Oh, thank you, Google. I forgot let me Google that for you.com was a thing that I should go to sometimes.
According to June, in June 24th, it was still impossible to get it, but I don't know. Let me go to Amazon really quick.
Are they selling it on average for the actual cost, or is it higher?
It's $1,097.
Woo!
Cool.
You can get one for $1,249 or $969.
Yeah,
everything is
nice.
over $1,000 pretty much. Oh, you could buy one that's renewed for $874.
right there you go.
Why is this all on Amazon? Don't they have laws against scalping?
I don't know. I mean,
Clearly
I think
not.
the answer is no.
Why? That's straight up
Obviously
capitalism. Why
not.
would they do that? No. So yeah, the developer behind the new remake is Asper. It is not BioWare. But there you go. It's PS5 exclusive for a limited time. Then it's going to be a release on Xbox as well. So EA published, Asper developed, and a lot of people are pretty excited about it because hey, KOTOR.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down to play it. I loved the first one that I played.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it also might be with some of the news. Like we talked about it before, but BioWare is kind of busy with their other big project right now. Which I posted about it. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read up and see about it, but the newest Mass Effect game.
Oh yeah, the Frostbite engine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For those that do not know, the new Mass Effect game will not be on Frostbite after what happened with Andromeda and some other of their games. BioWare is taking this new Mass Effect and putting it on the Unreal Engine.
I think it'll be a lot more stable.
It'll be a heck of a lot more stable on Unreal. It's not.
I mean, do you guys remember the bugs that happened? And I just mean like the facial bugs.
I've
and
seen them.
Animations and like people missing eyes and only having eyes. Oh
well,
God.
So this is referencing the video from Young Ye, right? So he talked about it a bit, and he brought up some good points, right? Why they're trying to have it on Frostbite, because if it's on Frostbite, that means that you don't have to pay licensing fees for the engine. The engine's in-house, and you can use that. But that is not what Frostbite was developed for. Frostbite was developed for Battlefield, not these intricate, incredibly detailed RPG games that BioWare does. so BioWare going, look, the games that we make do not work on your engine. So it's not fully confirmed. The reason is a ton of speculation, and it's pretty safe to assume, is that in the job listings on BioWare's site, they are looking for lead developers that will be in charge of the new Mass Effect franchise game using Unreal, the Unreal Engine, Unreal 4 Plus. That gets pretty specific.
Yeah, I would love to be, in the hiring room there. So I know we asked you to know how to program with Unreal, but do you know Frostbite? Because we're really using that instead.
What I think there would have been something cool about using Unreal 5, but it's not out yet. So, but regardless, the fact that it's going to be on Unreal 4, it should do well, especially since Unreal is kind of a jack of all trades type of engine. It should hold well there, and I think it should do well there. It might more resemble the original trilogy, which people loved. So, reasons to be optimistic there. So that's that was the only other headline I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's definitely more, but I seem to have misplaced them. I do have like a folder for podcast material, but apparently, yeah,
I got to go back and review that too, because I have a whole like RSS feeds of all the different whatever. Let me just throw out the question I came up with from earlier in the show, and we'll have this one round out for the back end of the show here. We're talking a lot about simulation games, and there were a lot of simulation games that we were talking about. If you could have any simulation game, what would it be?
That hasn't already been made yet? Ooh.
Right. I talked about this before. So we were watching the other host I was talking about, the other podcast I was talking to them, and it came up that what I would love is a kind of a sim management game like what City Skylines is and whatnot. But instead of making a city, make a golf course. Make and design a golf course based on the popularity of the golf course that generates the management side of it, and you have to do that.
I've only ever played golf games, never like thought about managing a golf course.
Because you have to.
If it was mini golf, I'd totally be in.
Well, that could be one of the features too, right? Like you can have regular golf, you can have mini golf, but the idea of designing these different courses and seeing how popular they are because of the challenges, how hard they are, how easy it is, etc. Like, and then just some of the other management involved in it, like proper care of the course, because if you have crappy grass, that's going to impact the ability for people to play on your course, etc.
But it's cheaper. You can skimp.
Yep.
You can just make a slumlord golf course.
You could, but I thought that was an interesting concept, and like that would be kind of cool. I don't know how, like I don't think that would work in Unity, but it'd be interesting, I think.
Maybe community pool.
Community pool sim. What? I'm just trying to like.
I love Pim's
figure out
answer.
how this would dog walking simulator. I'm trying to think of like how a pool simulator would work. Like, well, you know what I haven't actually seen in simulation games and management games is managing a trade ship empire.
Ooh, okay. That could be interesting.
Like you could go through what was the canal, the Suez Canal that got like the
yes.
boat got stuck, and be like, do you want to risk going through without paying for bribes, or do you want to pay the bribes and get through?
Yeah, ooh, that's a good idea too. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the more I think about Pool Simulator, I think the only thing that would happen is I'd actually just be playing The Sims and take off all the letters. So
I was thinking that you'd have to like you'd have to quarantine the pool because some kid pooped in it, and now you have to drain the pool, clean the pool.
Yeah.
Actually, this is sounding more legitimate now.
Yeah, it actually kind of is, isn't it?
I could go for that.
Why is there a brown streak on the slide? Oh no.
Timmy, no.
Oh my goodness.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I mean the golf course sim was the big one that popped in my mind. Is that would be the really interesting one. Part of the reason this is the weird part about it. So the reason that idea stuck with me is that I think it was 10th grade geometry and trigonometry. We, for our final project in that class, we had to design a golf course. And the idea was always an interesting concept, like because of like grass type slopes, etc., water hazards, whatever, and that's where that idea comes from.
Ooh,
international.
How about travel agent simulator?
How to screw over every customer you can. Yeah, there's a really nice resort where you're going. They show up and it's literally a shack with like a rock for a pillow and some grass.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where Fire Festival came from.
Wow. I mean, there you go. It'll just be Fire Festival simulation. You know what? I hate that. I'm sure that that's a thing.
I'm sure somewhere it has to be. That has to be a thing somewhere.
ISP simulator, screw your customers over with monopolies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, that's just Monopoly.
Wouldn't that so many games that are simulator? I mean,
there's so many games that are adjacent though. Like I was like, maybe you run a burger stand, but that's Overcooked.
Yeah, but Overcooked is not so much a simulation management. I guess it is. It's more of a chaotic clusterfuck of
yes. Is that
I'm not losing friends is what it is. You just lose friends. It's losing friends simulator. It's worse.
Losing friends.
It's worse than Monopoly and Risk combined. It's worse than Uno. I would say that Overcooked is the best way to lose friends if you play with your friends. So there you go, friends. Don't play with your friends.
Play with strangers?
Yes. Only queue up with strangers. I don't know if you can even do that, but
but you should.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally just invite people from across the street. Like, hey, I got this local game. I've been asked. Yeah.
Given some of the other simulators that we've seen as far as like the Unity type ones, snow plowing simulator.
Yeah, Bus Simulator 2021 came out to
oh, yep.
Very meh interest. Which surprises no one except for myself, who I thought that like at least a bunch of Germans would be down because they freaking love simulation bus games. Yeah, I don't know. The Germans love simulation games, and it shows in like all the YouTube videos and stuff that if you just search for simulation games, it's like all German content creators. I mean, there's the bus that's coming out or came out I think today actually, where they're making Berlin like a full scale 1-to-1 Berlin, and you drive really cool buses and stuff. It's actually like really pretty, but it's just an early access, so it's definitely not optimized. But
yeah, I'm trying to think of other ones that would be, and I asked the question going into it knowing that I had my answer. Thinking about it now, going, God, what else would there be that would be somewhat interesting? And it's hard to say for sure.
Border Guard Simulator, aka Papers, Please.
I was gonna say that's Papers, Please.
See, I like Basil's suggestion of Ryanair Simulator. I think you just do donuts in the field outside of the airport, and just do completely unsafe maneuvers constantly. You fly the plane like a fighter pilot and not a commercial airliner.
That could be.
You always land in the fields right outside of the runway.
Solid.
It's cheap though. You'll probably get to where you're going alive. Probably. You may have some cracked ribs or something when you land, but
yeah. But you know what? A couple of cracked trips worth it for the discount.
If you say so.
Oh, absolutely. What if we had another Paperboy as a full-on simulator game?
Like a first-person Paperboy simulator?
Yeah.
I'd be down for that. I would actually do that. You have to like wake up in the morning and you have to guzzle an entire pot of coffee because you're getting up at like 4 a.m. and you were partying before, so it's like you're passing out at like 1 a.m.
I hope
while you're drunk. You still wake up drunk.
I hope if that thing was ever created that there would be an FOV site to go along with it, because otherwise is kind of what I think would go along with it.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
That's just part of the game. It has a low FOV, so it makes you feel like you're also hungover.
Oh God,
when you play
no.
And you could have different layers and levels of it, right? Like you start off as a Paperboy, and then you are becoming a mail carrier, and then you handle packages. I don't know. Like, I think you've got options. And then you join the mafia because, you
join them because that makes
you see things that happen when people aren't paying attention because you're just a Paperboy and no one cares.
Exactly. Hippo gets it.
Let's make this game, you guys. Let's do it.
I guess I'm working on.
I had a code.
I guess I'm working on more C# on my spare time. Got it. Okay. Well, might as well guzzle that. I think. Yeah. Unless, do you guys have any other ideas on?
The only thing I want to do is become a mail carrier now. Like that's it. That's my incentive and ambition in life. Thank you.
You know what? It's solid. That is solid. I think this is maybe where we wrap it up for the night then.
I think so too. I mean, I can't really think of anything else, any other stuff to talk about, really.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's stuff that I guess there's a No Man's Sky update. It's really good. You guys go check it out if you have No Man's Sky.
Yeah, No Man's Sky is updated. And for the first time ever, their reviews on Steam is mostly positive now. So they did it. They really did it. They actually hit a game where they're liked now. So there's that. Before we go, we're gonna do a quick round robin of where you can find us and where we got what we got coming up on the channel. Also, just a quick thing to put out there too, in case you guys didn't hear, is before the podcast was only available on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. We've recently changed our distributor, so we are now currently available on YouTube, SoundCloud, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcast, pretty much whatever your favorite podcast is. Spotify. We're on all major platforms now, and they usually follow a few days after the live show here on Twitch. That said, yes, RSS feed is available for it, Basil. Thank you for asking that, since that was in chat. So that said, going around the room, let's start with you, Dizzah. Where can we find you? What do you got coming up on your channel?
I am on twitch.tv/DizzahGee. I'm DizzahGee pretty much everywhere on the internet because nobody else would be crazy enough to have that name. I will apparently be romancing the Colonel per request in chat, but besides that, I play a bunch of roguelike games, I play a bunch of card games, basically whatever is strategic and fun and interesting. And this week I am going to have some extra time on my hands, which means a lot more streaming. Get ready for more Storybook Brawl. Maybe I'll play some of that Atomic Crops. I've been enjoying that mostly offline. We'll see what happens, though.
Okay. Cool. Hippo.
Hi, me, Hippo. You can find me on Hipponanymous on pretty much everything. Everything is Hipponanymous. Just make sure to go follow on TikTok, you guys. Like, that TikTok stuff really helps out. As we said before, we're diversifying our portfolio, so please make sure to go do that. You can find all the links on my Twitch channel or Twitter, again, Hipponanymous, or if you don't know how to spell Hipponanymous, you can go to onlycankles.com, spelled CANKLES, onlycankles.com. It'll redirect you to my Twitch channel. You can find all the links there. And we can thank Excessively Salty for buying that domain. There's worse domains, but we don't talk about that. The upcoming content for this week is Project Zomboid, as well as there's so many games coming out this week. Fire Command, probably, if I can get my hands on it. Timberborn, Eastward, Game Deck. Valheim comes out with a new huge update. Ni no Kuni. So we'll see if we play any of those or what we touch on, but that is what you should expect for this week on my channel.
Cool.
How about you, Michelle?
And for those that are listening and you're not here live, my name's MissMicheleJean. It's MICHELE, 1L, Michelle. You can find my main channel, MissMicheleJean.tv. It's a little bit easy to find. On my channel, we got coming up tomorrow. We got Coke and Sketties, which that'll be a thing.
I'm sorry. What is Coke and Sketties?
This is something that came from RP. So I'm getting together with Team RP. For those that follow the RP, you know exactly what Coke and Sketties is. But basically, the challenge is we had to take SpaghettiOs. We got to take Coca-Cola, pour the Coca-Cola into the SpaghettiOs, and eat up. That was what a St. Jude challenge.
Oh my god, it's so fizzy.
That's the point.
So fizzy. Come on.
That's the point. We're there. You got the entire Team RP. That's Boondaba, Music Chick, Dream RP, Didac Gaming, myself, and then we have Shadow, who's one of my mods, and a couple other folks that are joining in on that. There's gonna be 8 of us.
That's just like Heartburn Simulator, like how to get heartburn and how to rot your teeth at the same time.
So that's tomorrow. I'm not sure which channel I'm streaming that on yet because there's some other stuff coming up. There'll probably be some RP on the RP channel. On the main channel, we'll have more simulation games, and I'm going to be working on getting some photos together for a photo editing stream because you guys have flat out told me that you really enjoyed the photo editing streams, so I want to give you a reason to come back and watch those as well. Yeah, so it's MissMicheleJean on all the socials, and MissMicheleJean.tv to find the main Twitch channel. That being said, for DizzahGee and Hipponanymous, my name is MissMicheleJean. This has been the Newbcast podcast. Thank you so very much for watching, and have yourself a wonderful night.
Bye.
Later.
Thanks for hanging with us.